Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. We're diving into something truly chilling today, a deeply unsettling narrative pulled straight from our source material. We're looking at a terrifying supernatural case study that perfectly blends historical tragedy with chilling folklore. We're going to examine the legend of the Kaal, the Black Mansion of Shorpur. It's a story of curses, doppelgängers, ancient demons, and a night that literally never ended. So let's jump right in. Now, to really grasp the gravity of what we're dealing with here, we have to start with a chilling quote from a diary found deep within the mansion's dusty library. It belonged to a man named Nada Singh. It simply reads, "Whoever enters this mansion dies upon crossing the gate. Only their soul walks inside." Just wow. That single sentence instantly hooks us into the terrifying mystery of the Kaal. It sets the stakes right off the bat, right? This isn't just your standard haunted house. It is a literal spiritual trap. Let's move forward and see how the setting builds on this. Part 1. The Black Mansion, the Kaal of Shorpur. So the year is 1947. The whole of India is going through massive upheaval. There's chaos, fear, uncertainty, and people are leaving their homes behind for new borders. As soon as night falls, a dead silence descends on the villages. Our source material introduces us to a young man named Arjun. He arrives at the small village of Shorpur from Delhi, covered in dirt, carrying a bag and an old leather box. He pulls out a yellowed piece of paper with an address. He's on a mission to retrieve his grandfather Nada Singh's belongings. But Shorpur is a place of stark contrasts. While the outside world is facing the real horrors of mass migration, just outside the village sits the Kaal. The villagers are absolutely horrified when Arjun mentions his grandfather. They tell him the mansion is a place of dead silence, where no one returns after sunset, and that Nada Singh went in on a dark night and was literally never seen again.
Part 2. The 3 terrifying warnings.
Before Arjun even approaches the massive iron gates, an elderly village woman steps forward to give him the absolute rules of survival for the Haveli. Number 1, do not look back if your name is called. Number 2, do not open a door if you hear crying. And number 3, never speak to your exact duplicate. These aren't just polite suggestions, guys. They are strict laws in this supernatural ecosystem. So armed with a lantern, Arjun walks up to the colossal iron gates. And you know what? They creak open all on their own. But the second he steps inside, they violently slam shut behind him, and the faint, eerie sound of anklets echoes in the dark. Inside, the mansion is coated in decades of thick, undisturbed dust, and the psychological assault just immediately begins. First, Arjun passes a 1947 family portrait. One of the youths in the painting looks exactly like him. And terrifyingly, the painted eyes slowly turn to look directly at Arjun, and the face actually smiles. He almost drops his lantern. Shaken, he runs down a corridor only to hear his name being called. Remembering the first rule, he forces himself not to look back. But then, he hears a girl crying from behind a closed door. She's begging, saying she's been trapped for 3 days and her breath is stopping. Human empathy completely overrides logic here. He opens the door, breaking a crucial rule, only to find the room entirely empty. Panicking, he runs into a library, where a supernatural wind suddenly whips up, turning the pages of his grandfather's dusty diary all on its own. Then, out of the pitch-black darkness of that library, all the lanterns blow out. Just 2 glowing red eyes approach him. There are no footsteps, just this shape getting closer. Suddenly, lightning flashes, lighting up the room for just a split second, and Arjun sees it, a young man who looks exactly like him, but dressed in 1947 clothing. Arjun stammers out, "Who are you?" And the figure replies, "I am who you are." The doppelganger claims to be his grandfather's younger brother, telling Arjun that he is now the mansion's newest prisoner. Part 3. Frozen Time, 1947. The supernatural physics of the mansion escalates so incredibly fast here. The entire mansion violently shakes, and hidden stone stairs suddenly appear. As Arjun flees down them, he sees bloody scratches on the walls made by fingernails reading, "Let us out, we want freedom, he is coming." At the bottom is a massive iron door bound in thick chains, visibly shaking from something knocking heavily on the inside. Suddenly, he hears a voice behind him saying, "It's too late." The doppelganger's eyes go entirely black, his limbs unnaturally elongate, and he drops to all fours, chasing Arjun back up the stairs like some terrifying beast. Arjun barely escapes back to the top and frantically checks his watch. It reads 11:40. He's shocked because that is the exact same time he entered the mansion. Despite the chase, the conversations, all the sheer terror, time inside the mansion hasn't moved forward a single minute. It's completely frozen. Panicking, Arjun somehow manages to pry open the main gate and sprints outside. But any sense of relief is instantly shattered. Shorepore is just gone. Where the village used to be, there are only burnt ruins, scattered ashes, and a broken stone on the ground reading Shorepore 1947. The doppelganger steps up behind him and delivers this absolute crushing reality. This isn't a dream. This is the exact same night from 1947, a night that never ended. He reveals that they are all already dead, and their souls are permanently trapped in this endless, looping nightmare.
Part 4, The Mansion's True Secret. Now the true architect of this nightmare reveals itself. High up on the mansion's dome stands a towering figure named Kaal, his face covered in cracks, leaking thick black smoke. He declares that no soul ever escapes. But then a brilliant white light manifests, and the true spirit of Arjun's grandfather, Nata Singh, finally appears. Because his time is short, he quickly reveals the actual timeline of this curse to Arjun. On the night of independence, in 1947, driven by pure greed, the mansion owners ignored a visiting saint's warnings and opened a hidden underground vault. They thought they'd find immense wealth, but instead they released Kaal, an ancient evil who immediately began slaughtering the village. To prevent a total massacre, the saint used his final powers to trap Kaal back inside the mansion. But here's the catch: magic always has a price. The lock to this supernatural prison, it was the souls of their entire family lineage. As Nata Singh finishes his story, a horrifying realization hits Arjun. The doppelganger, the twin who claimed to be his granduncle Veer, starts to smile, and that smile just becomes more and more terrifying. Suddenly, his skin begins to literally tear open. The layers of his face peel away, and from within bursts this massive, monstrous body made entirely of thick black smoke. The doppelganger was never his uncle. It was Kaal all along. The demon had been shapeshifting, playing this cruel, twisted psychological game with Arjun right from the very beginning.
Part 5, Kaal and the Final Sacrifice.
Suddenly, a light shines from a broken window in the mansion, revealing a chained-up young man. It's the real brother, Veer, looking exactly as he did in that 1947 painting. With his last bit of strength, Veer points Arjun toward a center room. Inside is a pulsing black stone emitting this sinister red light. And there's a final message left by the saint on the wall, revealing a profound rule about this supernatural world. The curse absolutely cannot be broken by force or power. The black stone will only shatter when someone willingly, completely by their own choice, merges their soul with it. It requires the ultimate willing sacrifice. Realizing that his own death could finally end decades of torment and free generations of his family's trapped souls, Arjun makes his choice. He pulls out his grandfather's diary, finds a specific mantra written on the final page, and starts reciting it aloud. The entire mansion violently shakes. With the demon Kaal closing in fast to stop him, Arjun throws himself directly into the pulsing black stone. The very moment his body makes contact, a blinding, explosive white light erupts. Kaal screams as the mansion's walls begin to crumble, and the dark spell is finally broken, washing the entire compound in a brilliant, purifying light that frees all the trapped souls.
And that brings us to the end of this incredibly tense explainer. But before we wrap up today, I really want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about curses, frozen time, doppelgangers, and a smoke-filled demon named Kaal. But looking back at the source material, this entire massive tragedy only happened because a vault was opened out of pure greed, despite very clear warnings. So I have to ask you, was the demon Kaal the only evil that night, or was human greed the true monster that doomed Shorepore? It's a chilling reminder of how our own flaws can sometimes unleash unimaginable horrors. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.